right, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Joe.
All right, so today we'll pick up on preparation for Washington. And you talk about this team, defensively it really starts up front. They've got a lot of talent in this defensive front. Jack and Ron do a great job with getting these guys really after the pass. You talk about the inside pressure they give, obviously the speed off the edge. Their backers playing very productive right now, playing downhill behind that front. And the secondary is doing a really good job of playing that off-quarters coverage and man coverage and really taking opportunities to jump the ball. Offensively, I think Heineke's done a really good job of really extending plays, improvising on his feet. Gibson's obviously one of their top targets as a runner, a screen catcher, and then also a receiver out of the backfield. And then you watch, obviously, McKissick, all right, being gone from the lineup right there is a change for him, but McLaurin obviously is still an explosive player for them in terms of how he plays. In the kicking game, it's about the specialists. They got some big leg specialists and explosive returners. Carter's done a good job this year as a returner, really a one-cut downhill runner. We got to do a good job protecting against their size, covering against their speed. It's going to take a good week of preparation right now. Most of the guys are in the building. We have a number of guys that are stuck right now in traffic, have been there for about 3 hours or so. Really all the guys coming from the city, Hoboken, Weehawken type area. A number of guys have been sending us actually pictures off their phone for about the last 3 hours or so that they've been stuck. So we've had a coach in the same situation, so we're moving on through the day as much as we can. And we expect them to be here for the afternoon to catch them up with whatever they missed. So being said, I'll go and open any questions you have.
Joe, sometimes, there's like a no excuse thing. You're late. But in a situation like this, is it like you couldn't have done anything? Is that...
With the circumstance these guys are dealing with the tractor trailer, that's crossing off both directions of traffic, what we understand, the pictures we're seeing. We've had players that were talking about getting out of their cars and walking. We've told them stay in the vehicle, stay with it, they'll clear it on out. We've had coaches that were stuck in it as well. The roads were definitely slick today. Definitely with the time we got the messages from the players that they were stuck in traffic would have been well ahead of the attendance time. So this wasn't a deal we had squad at 7:30 and people were texting at 7:25. This was 6:45 in the morning. Everyone's saying, look, I've been stuck here now for a half hour or so. What do you want me to do? And we're just telling them, drive safe, stay patient. When they get you out, get you over here. So, some of the guys have tried to stay in through meetings, through their speakerphone and things of that nature. We'll get them caught up when they get here.
Joe, for the last game of the year, what do you expect from your club in terms of focus, in terms of effort, in terms of execution?
The same thing I'd expect on the first game, Bruce. The absolute same thing I expect. Tell our guys all the time, come in, be locked in. We're playing for each other as a team. I expect to see them in the meetings fully prepared, done a good job this morning of that. Expect to see them in the practices, going out there and practicing with intensity, energy, and urgency, working on fundamentals, making sure we correct any mistakes as we go through the week from the film study and the next day corrections. And I expect to see the effort from the opening kickoff to the final whistle from our team. That's how we play around here.
Joe, you made a comment the other day after the game about not having fistfights on the sideline. Is that a reference to what happened to Washington a couple weeks ago?
No, I just made a comment to any outward dysfunction. Look, my focus is on getting our team ready right now for Washington right now. You can make a lot of comments I've said in the past. Right now I'm focused on getting the team ready for Washington this weekend.
Have you heard about that? Have you heard about that from within? Have you talked to ownership or anybody about those
I talk
comments
to ownership a good bit all the time in terms of anything I've said. No.
Are there any changes in COVID situations?
So Woodrow Hamilton's one of our practice squad players who's been placed on the list. Other than that, all the players are back in and ramping up and getting ready to go ahead and return. We'll see where they are physically as far as their return. They were in the building yesterday with the trainers as far as moving along that path. And then they'll continue with the ramp up today and then get them back on the field as soon as we can.
And as far as the players delayed, are any of the quarterbacks in that traffic situation?
They are not. The quarterbacks are not involved, but there's a number of actually defensive players, okay, who a lot of those guys live in that area.
What made you decide to cut Isaiah Wilson?
Guys, we make roster moves all the time. So, I don't go into every specific, individual move. I appreciate what Isaiah did for us. I wish him the best of luck. I think he's got an opportunity to be a professional football player, and I wish him the best wherever he goes. And obviously, for all the players that played here, any help that he may need down the road, we'd be available for him.
Expect Darius on the field this week?
Yeah, he's going to be going through the walkthroughs just today. We'll see how he progresses. He's dealing with an injury, but we'll see kind of how it progresses throughout the week and see if there's an opportunity to get out there. But we do expect him today in the practice with us.
Will you, just because there's nothing on the other side of this game, will you push him a little further? If he's not quite ready, just to get him out there and get him.
No, I make this clear all the time. Like, the medical staff has to tell us somebody is cleared to go on the field to play aggressive and protect themselves. Beyond that, I expect guys to play when they're healthy enough to play, point blank. And I only ask one question: is it injury risk or pain management? And that's an assessment the medical team has to make. That's not my decision to make. So in terms of me pushing someone to get on the field, that's not my call.
go, this is the last chance this year for your team to play in front of these fans at home. What do you want the fans to know about this group that you work with this year?
But these guys are going through a lot of adversity this year. There's been a lot of times they could have tapped out, but this team's emptied the tank every week in preparation. They empty the tank for each other and for the fans to represent them every time they take the field.
Joe, is there anything Kadarius can do in the offseason to prevent the injuries, or is it just fluky?
There's a number of things every player deals with. The nature of the National Football League is it's a long year. For every rookie in this league, it's a much longer year than they've ever had to deal with. It's much different physical demands because of the week in, week out demands you have without the gaps. It's not like college where, you may play, Little Sisters of the Poor. They don't play guys in the second half. Then all of a sudden you get a bye week. Then you play your rivalry game on Thanksgiving weekend. Then you get a 6-week break for the bowl game. Then you come out. Then you have winter break. You come back. You have spring ball. The breaks aren't as chopped up for the guys in this league. So just the constant managing their bodies, learning how to manage their body through the length of the season, that's something all these guys have to learn throughout the year. And we've seen a number of our guys do a really good job of it, but none of them are where they're going to be further down the road as a pro because they just have to learn their bodies more and more. The best thing for them to do is take the instruction and direction of the people in this building that help them, our training staff, our strength staff, our sports performance staff, the older players who are leaders on this team who set the example in terms of how they take care of their bodies. The best thing you can do is really learn from those people and then push forward to stay healthy and on the field. In terms of Kadarius, he's had a number of injuries. I wouldn't say there's been anything that's been, they've all been legit injuries. There's nothing that he's stayed off the field for an extended amount of time that he couldn't play through. We saw this guy return from an ankle injury after Dallas, played through, till he could in the Rams game, got hurt, had an issue in the Tampa game where he had the pulled muscle in the oblique. And, he worked to get back on the field. When he was able to come back, he came back and ended up having another injury. These are all things that just happen. So, I think the biggest thing for any player to do is train their body in the offseason as much as you can to build that base of muscle and to build that recovery for your body. The more you train, the easier your body recovers. But there are bumps and bruises that you have to learn to just manage your body throughout the season and deal with. And that's for any rookie.
For Saquon, how much do you believe in the second year off the ACL? Guys are significantly better, or kind of sometimes it takes guys 1 year to really get back kind of deal?
I think it's dangerous to go ahead and group anybody under one category with any injury. Everybody is different. Every body is different. Every injury is different. Look, I can tell you from experience being a much lesser athlete than Saquon, of having a very similar injury to my knee, that there is a length of time that it takes to get back to a certain feel and movement. I can't speak directly for Saquon, so I can't tell you exactly how his body feels. I know this guy's worked through a lot of things. He's dealt with different injuries throughout the year. He's played hard through a lot of things. I've seen a lot of toughness and grit from him this year. In terms of what next year brings, we'll have to see when it comes. But I know he's going to work, train, and put himself in position in the best year possible.
Do you think for him it's just a matter of getting healthy? Is that? I mean, we haven't seen Saquon that he was in 2018 or whatever. So is it just for him a matter of we just need to get him healthy 100%?
That's probably a better question to ask Saquon directly. What I can speak on is what I've seen from him in terms of how he's worked on and off the field to do everything for the team. Of that, we're very pleased.
How beneficial for him can an off season without rehab be? Without going through that extended ACL rehab process.
Well, for any player coming off of an injury, the following season of having an off season without that rehab process is very beneficial. That's naturally what it is, where you can go out there and train your body. You're on a different schedule in terms of what you can do. The rehab and recovery it's a very, exhausting, strenuous process. It really is. It's not that you just come in, lay up all day, get ice on your knee or whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden you get out there back on the field. You've got to work extremely hard on everything. But the process of coming back from something like that takes a lot of physical and mental toughness to push through it. Okay? People don't realize that when you go through injuries, like a lot of these guys deal with, that ends their season, that the season's over as far as the fans seeing them, but the process for them getting back on the field is really just beginning when they get hurt, and it never really stops. And once you have an injury like that, the rest of your career, you're always doing something preventative for it. Anytime a guy has a soft tissue injury, we talk about always treat it like your hamstring or calf, whatever it is always hurt. You got to treat that on the front end to make sure it doesn't become an issue. When a guy's coming off, something that requires some kind of reconstructive surgery, they've got to always make sure they take time and they take the right process to support everything around that injury to keep everything else stronger. So the work that goes in only gets volume up and amplified as you go through your career. But when you come off that second year, as far as just the off season and the approach, it's a whole lot different than that previous year with the rehab.
Joe, last year you went into the last game with a chance to make the playoffs, right? You knew you had to win, and other things had to happen. In New England, you always went into the last week with a playoff situation. So how difficult is this for you and for a team, do you think, to know this is the end, know you didn't accomplish goals and things like that, and just, you've never done this before.
We always talk about playing every game, regardless of the situational circumstance, playing every play, every series, every game the same way. So this is no different. Okay, I'm not going to be hypocritical in front of the team. I'm talking about playing every situation the same way with the same intensity, urgency, and effort, and then turn around at the end and say, well, this is just different. We're only given 17 games a year. That's all you're given. Okay, you get 17 opportunities to go out there. You have to make the most of every opportunity. That's what I expect of the team. That's what I expect of the coaches.
Is it, human nature, is it easier said than done? Do you have to work harder? When your team is getting ready, there's going to be an 18, 19. You know that's the incentive. With these guys, do you have to kind of make sure they're invested, knowing that you're packing up after this game?
That's all the work you do throughout spring, training camp, and the first part of the season. That doesn't come in week 18, where now you're trying to go ahead and convince guys to go. You've got to build the team a certain way. I talked very openly the other day about that. Okay, so when you build the base the right way in the front end, you're not concerned about are guys going to show up to work this week.
You're a coach who believes in practicing in the elements. I know obviously this morning you moved inside. Can you just take us through the process of what you're...
Yeah, real simple, frozen fields. It's the only thing we're staying off right now with the pace of practice we're going on today. The fields are frozen in the middle. So we'll do the first walkthrough today inside, let the fields defrost. Hopefully we'll be back outside today. There's a forecast for possible rain this weekend. So any opportunity we get to get outside in the wet balls, we're going to look to go ahead and use. We hear there may be snow Friday, so see if we can have some fun in that as well.